comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey, now blue sky shining down. Let your feet don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day. Oh, coffee steaming, smile breaks free. Simple joys are enough for me. Stones roll out, but I don't mind. Sun's still waiting on the other side. Turn it up, feel the sound. Good vibration all around. Wake up, sunlight tapping on the door. Feels like I've been here all before. Radio humming, the world feels right. Every little thing's in tune tonight. Shadows fade, the truth comes through. Fresh start in the morning blue. Hey now, blue sky shining down. Lift your feet, don't touch the ground. Laugh it off, let the good times stay. Oh yeah, it's a blue sky day.
Woo! Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cats. I do appreciate you being here. It's Friday Eve. I'm very excited for Friday. Friday is my due date. So I'm like 40 weeks pregnant, folks. I am so ready for baby to come. Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a gift from the Lord. And that kind of brings me to today. I'm not going to talk about a whole lot. We've got a few stories to hit. I do want to talk about this Illinois town that started handing out reparations. $25,000. Now, what could you do with $25,000? Okay, 44 people got $25,000 in the form of a reparation. This Illinois town has started handing out reparations. I don't even think this is legal. Now, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not like a lawyer or a legal scholar, but I know that there's a little something called equal protection under the law. And equality under the law. This they're giving out reparations to people based on their skin color. I don't even know how this is possible, but as of today, they're getting away with it, this Illinois town. So we're going to cover that. But kids are a heritage from the Lord. They are a gift from God, and I'm very upset over the Epstein files and the misconceptions out there, the fake news that's out there surrounding this Thomas Massie versus Pam Bondi. They got into this heated clash over the Epstein Co-Conspirator names. Okay, the client list. Who was the client? Who are the people whom Jeffrey Epstein trafficked the humans to? That is the question everybody wants. Trafficked the children to, gave the children to. He was obviously charged with like human trafficking, sexual assault things, like all these charges. But who did he actually traffic the children to? That's what we want to know, right? I don't really give two hoots about, tip lines that didn't really manifest into charges. I don't care about any of these these DOJ files that were released under the Transparency Act. Now we get some insight into how deep this went and how nasty it was. But really, what we want are the names, and the names are redacted. And Pam Bondi did not handle herself well when she was grilled by Democrats and Republicans when it comes to the Epstein files. Pam Bondi, I did not want her. I wanted Matt Gaetz. I knew Pam Bondi was unintelligent. And really, I think that this can be explained in this way. Pam Bondi is trying to impress everybody and be the top female cop. Okay. She's trying to give the impression that she has any kind of control or is in charge of what happens to the people whom Jeffrey Epstein trafficked those humans to. She has no control over this whatsoever. I don't even think Donald Trump has control, but he'd be the one to direct the national intelligence communities to unseal what we want. Okay, people are all upset. They're getting into a clash with Pam Bondi, and it's really all a smokescreen. And I think that a lot of them know that it's a smokescreen. And I think that they're putting on a show for the American people. And I know that you're not dumb. I know that you're not dumb. I'm not dumb. They think you're dumb. They think that you're going to buy into this idea that Pam Bondi can go arrest people and she can unredact these names. You're going to buy in. They think that you're going to buy into that. That's not true. They know that that she's not the gal for the job. They know she's not in charge. They know that this has been sealed. 2010 was when these were sealed, and we're going to get into what exactly I'm talking about. Look, I don't care if you're MAGA, libertarian, independent, or just a regular American who thinks child trafficking is wrong and child traffickers belong in prison. Okay, not protected. I don't care where you line up on the as far as politics go. When it comes to kids, we should all remember this verse. Let me pull it up. Sorry. Matthew 18, Jesus stated, "It would be better to have a large millstone hung around your neck and be drowned in the sea than to cause one of these little ones, those who believe in him, to stumble or sin." So these little ones, these are children. Jesus is very close. God is very close to the little children. Okay. So children are a heritage from the Lord. They are the world's greatest gift. I say that as somebody who's expecting her first child. I'm very excited. But I think we can all agree, wherever you line up on the political spectrum, that child traffickers belong in prison. Pedos belong in prison. I think we can all agree. I don't know, maybe some of the teachers in the public school system would disagree with me, considering there is an unprecedented amount of teachers who get into teaching just to prey on children. It appears that way sometimes, but I think that we should all agree that child trafficking is wrong and child traffickers belong in prison and not protected. So what's happening? Okay, what happened yesterday at this House hearing? Well, it was explosive. If you missed it, Thomas Massie, he put the Department of Justice on notice. You can't really put them on notice if they have no power at all. He wasn't polite. He wasn't gentle. And I can appreciate the passion. So I want to rewind a little bit. The Epstein files, the so-called client list, is what we want. Okay, let's be real. We want people to be brought to justice. Okay, we want the client list. We want no redactions. Okay, we've gotten redactions. We've gotten 3 million pages, a dump. And for years, Americans have been kind of told up to this point, trust the process, investigations are ongoing. Now that we've got a taste of this through the 3 million pages that the Trump administration dumped, by the way, now that we've got a taste, we want more. There's mystery now. Okay. There's mystery and there's redactions, and we've got more questions than answers. We've got more questions now than we did before the Transparency Act, because the DOJ released so much, and we've kind of pulled back the curtain on these pedophile elites and what they were talking about in their personal conversations via email, and we've gotten video images and videos and pictures. Bill Clinton in the hot tub with women, and Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew standing over a child's body, okay, lying on the ground. We've gotten all of this. And prior to this dump, we've been told, trust the process, investigations are going, redactions are necessary. We're being told redactions are necessary now. And if anybody read the Transparency Act, I was on this show saying that this is going to cause more problems. People are going to get all this stuff from the DOJ, and it's going to tell us absolutely nothing about who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked the children and the humans to. It's going to tell us absolutely nothing about who was involved here, the co-conspirators, the people who were in Jeffrey Epstein's inner circle doing the really messed up stuff, like drinking child blood or talking about drinking child blood, sacrificing children. I knew that we weren't going to get any of it because the calls for transparency have been misplaced, and we're calling on the DOJ to do something. And the DOJ, it is completely out of the DOJ's hands at this point. Pam Bondi, being the blondie cop that she is, she is trying to, and has, in her stupid Epstein binders, tells me that this is her approach to this. She wants people to think that she's top dog and that she's the top cop and that she is capable of reopening this investigation. She is capable of bringing these co-conspirators to justice. She is not. She has no ability. She is not in charge whatsoever. So we got these documents released. Names have been blacked out. Whole pages are blacked out. And the co-conspirators, we don't know. And if you were to read the Transparency Act, and it was unanimous, folks, pretty much unanimous, all of these congressmen and women, they knew what the Transparency Act said, or at least I hope they knew what the Transparency Act said. I hope they had read the legislation they passed and voted on. But it passed unanimously. They know that their names were going to be blacked out. All of them. They all know. They all know that the Transparency Act was just going to be a dump, which, at least we got this under the Trump administration, and we're kind of privy to the disgusting details of what happened, but we don't know who did them. Like these weird pedophilia rituals. Like we know what they were doing, but now we don't know who was doing them, and I knew that this was going to happen, and they knew when they passed it, the congressman. You want to know why they passed it? Because they knew their names weren't going to be dropped, right? And now the American people are left asking, hey, who are you protecting? Because the redactions come out, and we're like, okay, this is odd. There's so many redactions here. Who are the co-conspirators? Who are you protecting? It's leaving us with more questions, especially now that we've kind of gotten to peel this curtain back and see what they were doing. And it was, nasty. satanic rituals, and, poor conspiracy theorists back in, 2020, the QAnon type folks, me, who said, yeah, the world is run by a bunch of elite pedophiles. And, I think that those conspiracy theorists need an apology because they were right. Now, I think this whole hearing was a complete smokescreen. I think that every single congressman and woman understands that the Transparency Act was not going to release the names of the people of whom Jeffrey Epstein trafficked the children to. The co-conspirators. I think that they all understood that. And they voted for it because they understood that. You see what I'm saying? They voted for it because their names weren't going to be dropped. Okay, so Pam Bondi is not the correct person to be asking about the client list. The redactions are there because the CIA and the NSA, the National Security Administration, Central Intelligence Agency, they have declined to confirm or deny the existence of records about Epstein. Okay, they won't even tell us if these documents exist. Okay, they cite national security laws as to the reasons why they can't even tell us if these documents exist. I can neither confirm nor deny response when we ask the CIA, hey, do you know anything about Epstein's co-conspirators? Who did Jeffrey Epstein traffic the humans to, traffic the children to? Do you know, CIA, NSA? And they say, we don't know what you're talking about. We can't confirm the existence of such documents that would name these people. So Epstein's attorneys made requests for these agencies to release such records, by the way. Now we know, we can pretty much guess that Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of the Israeli intelligence communities, and they were gathering dirt on congressmen who were going to the island. And like I said, there was a faction here, and you can read through some of these files, these Epstein files, the 3 million pages, and you can kind of get a taste of what was going on that island. You had really messed up people. I would throw Bill Gates into that category, Prince Andrew, some really weird people, Bill Clinton. And then you had, another part of this Epstein Island operation where you were enticing congressmen. And now there's no record of Donald Trump being on the island. Okay, flight logs, nothing. He's not there, okay, on the island, that we can't place Donald Trump there. Okay, I want to be clear about that. If anything, I think the 3 million pages tell us that Donald Trump knew about these parties, perhaps was invited to them, I don't know, but was a rat, a mole, and he wasn't partaking in the really weird stuff that was going on Epstein's Island. Now, there was this sort of above bar faction on Epstein's Island where you'd invite congressmen and they'd, be with the pretty women who were recruited to the island. Victoria's Secret. Jeffrey Epstein had ties to Victoria's Secret, pageant models, things like that. And that's why Jeffrey Epstein was kicked off of Mar-a-Lago, because Donald Trump didn't want Jeffrey Epstein recruiting his employees, the women, the golf caddies, the pool women, right, at Mar-a-Lago. He didn't want Jeffrey Epstein recruiting them. These are consenting adults, women, models, who would go to Jeffrey Epstein's Island and party it up with congressmen. And Jeffrey Epstein, tasked by the Israeli intelligence, and we can pretty much gather this, Jeffrey Epstein was tasked with getting dirt on our congressman in order to get them to send more money overseas to Israel for their efforts of taking out their Islamic foe. Okay, so that's what Jeffrey Epstein was tasked with. Now, what he would do would slip in a 17-year-old. She looks 25 years old. They'd slip in a 17-year-old. A congressman says, "Oh, shoot." Jeffrey Epstein says, "Well, now I've got you on tape, man." And that's blackmail. Okay. So Jeffrey Epstein, not really friendly with all of these people. He got friendly with them, not a friend of the people that he was inviting to this island. He got millions of dollars from Jewish leaders, millions to set up this island. Okay. And he wasn't really friends with anybody, I don't think. I think that he was charismatic. He had charisma and he befriended people, but he wasn't really their friend. You see, he was spying on them and gathering blackmail. And not to say he didn't partake, obviously, in the child trafficking, the human trafficking, the nasty stuff that was going on this island. But he wasn't buddies with these people. He was actually an adversary of our congressman and trying to get blackmail on them so that way they would vote to send money to this foreign country. So when everything started to hit the fan, Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys said, "Hey, we want those records, between 2010 and 2014. And the agencies, the CIA, the NSA, they said that they couldn't disclose that information, or even if the information that the attorneys were requesting existed. Okay. They did not disclose the information or reveal that there was this list of co-conspirators. Okay. They didn't reveal any of that, despite Epstein's attorneys wanting that information when all of it was going down. And when he was, if Jeffrey Epstein was going to go down, he was going to let everybody know about who he was trafficking these humans to, child trafficking the children to. If he was going down, they were going to go down with him. That's kind of the point of blackmail. If I'm prosecuted, and they started to do it to Jeffrey Epstein, and things were not looking great for him. They started investigating and they started to prosecute this guy, actually. And he said, "Okay, well, if you're going down, I want you to go down with me. My attorneys are going to request these records from your intelligence communities." And the intelligence communities and agencies, they said, "No, we can't even confirm nor deny that information exists." Okay, so it's not even quite sealed. When I say sealed by national intelligence, this list of co-conspirators that Thomas Massie so desperately wants, it's not even really sealed, but rather these agencies can't confirm nor deny the existence of these court documents that may or may not name co-conspirators or people whom Jeffrey Epstein trafficked the children to. Okay, so effectively, they are secret, classified, even if they exist. That is what we know. Okay, now these millions of pages sealed by DOJ, there is a different set. This was all the pages that came out of the investigation. Okay, they were formally sealed by the DOJ. These documents, I don't give a crap about, really. I mean, at the end of the day, I want the names of the co-conspirators. I want justice. We can pretty much gather what these people were doing on the island. And, from the millions of pages, I've pretty much gathered that there was two factions. There's people who were there for the parties for the women, and it was all above bar. And not this weird child sacrifice ritual thing. the blood sucking, the cannibalism. There's really weird people that got really close to Jeffrey Epstein, and they started doing that. Okay. Now, I do think that some of our congressmen, and this isn't right, I think, where you're, enticing them to come to these parties, beautiful women, you get them drinking, and then they, sleep with a 17-year-old, and oh man, that's child rape, which it is. It's rape of minor, or unless it was consensual, right? They believed it was consensual, but it's not because they're a minor. And some of our congressmen, I do believe, probably have gotten caught up in that. And at that point, statute of limitations kind of runs dry. We don't really want those people. We want the real weirdos, right? The top elite pedophiles, the people who were sleeping with 13-year-old girls, okay? The people who were talking about cannibalism and practicing satanic rituals. Those are the types of people we want. Those people, their names are sealed by the NSA and by the CIA. Now, the DOJ records, we get all the nasty details about these elite pedophiles and what they were talking about, but their names are all redacted. Why? Because the Transparency Act allows those names to be redacted. So the legislation that Thomas Massie pushed and voted for, this is why those names are redacted in this file dump, because the Transparency Act allows for it. The Transparency Act released on January 30th, all of these files. Need I remind you, this was done under the Trump administration. We wouldn't know the nasty details of what these people were talking about over email had it not been for the Trump administration. So you can't sit there and say that Donald Trump is a part of this. He's the guy who let you in on all of the nasty details of this pedophile ring and let you in on all of this nastiness. We just don't know who at this point, like who was doing all of this, because all their names are redacted. So under the Epstein File Transparency Act, the DOJ had to make unclassified records, documents, communications, investigative materials relating to Jeffrey Epstein publicly available and searchable in a downloadable format. That's what we got. But there's exceptions in this law, and they are crafted in this law. So the law has exceptions where redaction and withholding is permitted. And I said this back when they passed it. I said this was a smokescreen, and they all voted for it because they knew their names were not going to be released. Their names, congressmen, their names weren't going to be released. Neither were the top elite pedos that were talking about child sacrifice in these emails. Okay, their names aren't going to be released. So there were exceptions. I'll go over those exceptions. Number one, victim privacy. The Attorney General may withhold or redact information that would reveal the identities or personal details of victims, including personal or medical files, because releasing that would be clearly an unwarranted invasion of privacy. I think that we can all agree that, yes, we should protect victims' names. Child sexual abuse materials. Yes, images that depict children having sex. Those were withheld and redacted. Ongoing investigations or prosecutions. Okay, so those materials would jeopardize active and federal investigation and pending prosecution. This one is kind of a moot. I don't think that there's any ongoing investigations or prosecutions. But, they're able to withhold materials or redact materials if they're doing ongoing investigations or prosecutions, which I don't think they are. Anything active as far as Jeffrey Epstein goes, I think that all died. The investigations into anybody died with him in 2019. So number 4, graphic images. They withheld images showing death, physical abuse, injury of a person to avoid unnecessary public exposure to traumatic content. Okay. And this is the big one that I want to be clear. Okay. Classified national security or foreign policy info. Information that is properly classified under an executive order for national defense or foreign policy reasons can be withheld or redacted. That is the big one. That's the big exception. And I just read the law to you. Okay. This is the Transparency Act. So when Thomas Massie gets his panties all up in a wad here, and we're going to play the clip, here comes Thomas Massie, and he says the email, this is an email with a list of names, and this was not released. This is redacted. And it's like, dude, you pushed the legislation. You voted for the legislation. The reason those names are redacted is because our national intelligence communities, the CIA, the NSA, they, via executive order, and, even at the request of the attorney of Epstein, they couldn't get these documents. Okay. And I don't know if you guys watch Law and Order, right? But that's a big deal. If the defense can't get the materials, what the prosecution has against Jeffrey Epstein, if they can't get evidence from the prosecution because of foreign policy reasons or national defense reasons, security reasons, that's a big deal. Okay. And Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers were pretty peeved off about that. Why did Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers want that? To expose the people he was blackmailing, because he was going to go down. And if he was going to go down, everybody was going to go down with him. That's why they wanted the client list, the attorneys, so that way it would be made public. But it was, not even really sealed. The CIA and the NSA pretty much laughed at the attorneys, Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys, and said, haha, no way. And we don't even know if they exist or not. We won't confirm nor deny that those things that you're asking for exist or not. So I don't even think that they're necessarily sealed. It's like you can't even their existence is sealed. So here comes Thomas Massie. Okay, let's play the clip. This is all smokescreen. This is all. He's the guy who pushed this legislation. Didn't you read it, dude? Like, that's why these are redacted. Do you not get it? Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victim's survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators. Fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking. Not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI. And it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr. Chairman. This is how this works.
Can I have my time back? Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All
Kentucky.
right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So
Yes.
I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman,
Because I
may I
have
give my
answer
answer on that?
If-
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer
Yeah,
on that.
we'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his
Chairman,
next question.
it's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes
You
of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
Okay.
and we invited
what?
you
Switch-
in.
show the video.
This
Show
guy
the-
has Trump
Gentlemen.
derangement syndrome. He needs to.
the
Get,
video.
you're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the video.
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the
himself.
rules here.
There is
Time.
no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am
at
reclaiming
all
my
the
time.
last
I'm
4
glad you're
years?
asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because this
time
is
when you don't-
bigger than
when you can't-
Watergate.
when I don't answer a question the
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to
most
know at
transparent-
what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it
Time is
back on the
up.
screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has
Which-
expired.
Okay. I mean, Thomas Massie's not wrong. They have been lying, and this stretches all the way back to the Bush administration. They've been lying about this for decades. But here's what he is wrong about. That Pam Bondi has anything to do with prosecuting these individuals and that she's capable of doing it. Like I said, what we need to do is get Tulsi Gabbard and the current national intelligence communities to unseal, which I don't even know is completely possible because prior administrations, if they do things out of the interest of national security, it's sort of kind of untouchable. And I'm not saying that's right. But here's Pam Bondi, right? And she campaigns on transparency. Republicans, they campaign on transparency. They campaign on draining the swamp, on exposing the elite corruption. And then you have the DOJ fumbling, bumbling, and this was clearly a mistake because they didn't redact the victims' names, but they did redact the national security reasons. I'm sure Les Wexner, he's this Victoria's Secret guy. Okay. He was a co-conspirator, listed as a co-conspirator. So here's what was going on. You might have had, Victoria's Secret models who were, and I said that there's this above bar faction with recruiting Victoria's Secret models, and that was all consensual. But did he get some models who weren't consenting adults, go to and get them to go to the island, and at some point forced them into sexual, rape, and sell them, okay, to people who came to the island? That's the question. And, he's listed as a co-conspirator. Why didn't he get investigated? He unredacted it because I guess Congress might have had some unredacted versions. And not that I think that the DOJ was trying to hide Les Wexner as a co-conspirator. But for matters of national security, you've got the, CIA, NSA sealing up these names, and the DOJ, at the direction of these intelligence communities, have to redact all of that and not go after these people. Okay, so what Thomas Massie really needs to do is he needs to stop looking at the DOJ, stop looking at Pam Bondi and asking her, hey, why aren't you investigating these people? He needs to go to the in national intelligence communities and get them to unseal everything, or tell us at least if these documents exist, if these names exist, the client list. But Pam Bondi, when you have Republicans like she, even Donald Trump, when you campaign on draining the swamp, when you campaign on transparency and exposing the elite, and then you do this where you have no answer, right? Pam Bondi should have gave the answer that, hey, we can't go after Les Wexner because, of national security reasons or whatever. It hurts their credibility when they're not honest about the situation we're in. Okay. We can't go after Les Wexner because of X, Y, Z. She should have been prepared with that. And whether that's because at the direction of our national intelligence communities, we can't go after him, or he was deemed, to be recruiting people consensually, which is possible, being that, these are Victoria's Secret models. And like I said, there was this, and once you read through the 3 million pages, you start to get a feel of what this island was like. There's the real weirdos, and then there's this above bar sort of, still nasty, not something we would want our congressman doing, but there was this above bar, not illegal portion of the island. And, it just bothers me that we have somebody up there like Pam Bondi, who didn't have her ducks in a row and didn't come with, hey, Les Wexner wasn't prosecuted because of XYZ. And, she's still parading herself out there as if she's the top gal on this. She's not. It is completely out of the DOJ's hands now, especially now because this case has been closed since 2019. Completely out of the DOJ's hands. They closed the investigation into third parties, dismissed the charges after he died in his cell, committed suicide. They dismissed these charges against Jeffrey Epstein, okay, once he died. And then all these third party people, they closed the case and didn't go after them, and this was in 2019 when they were, 2025 is when she closed cases. In July of 2025, they closed the case as far as third party goes. And here's why, because the DOJ has nothing. They've got the names of all the co-conspirators, but they can't use it because at the direction of the CIA and the NSA, they can't touch it because it's a national security issue. Okay. And I'm not saying I say national security issue. Perhaps it is. And we'll get to that here a little bit later. But Pam Bondi, she needs to stop playing tough female cop. Okay. And she needs to be honest about the reality of the situation. This is a national intelligence agency issue. And Trump I think could direct Tulsi Gabbard to unseal these documents that we want. Okay, the 3 million pages. Okay, we know what was going on, but now we want to know who. The 3 million pages don't really tell me who. We need Tulsi Gabbard to unseal the documents, these court documents. Now, it gets tricky because anything that the prior administration does under the, national security thing, or under the guise of national security, anything that these prior administrations do in the name of that, it's really hard as the next administration to undo that. Okay, because that's sort of like a commander-in-chief, the president of the United States, questioning the prior president's decisions surrounding national security. And it might be tough or it might be impossible for Donald Trump to do this. But that's where we need to start. Going after Pam Bondi and grilling her about the Transparency Act, which allowed her to redact things for national security, allowed them to redact things for victims' names. Did they do a piss poor job? Yeah, because as we saw, some of the victims' names were released. But it's all political theater because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Okay, they redacted the names. But like they can't go after Wes Wexner. They can't go after this guy, the DOJ, because it's a matter of national security. These names have been covered up, and I'm sure that there's testimony and evidence that, shows that maybe Les Wexner was a co-conspirator and unconsensual adults from Victoria's Secret were shipped to the Epstein's Island. I don't know because they won't even tell us if those documents exist or not, the CIA and the NSA. So Thomas Massie is either an idiot who doesn't understand this or get this, or he hasn't read the Transparency Act. And, why would they put that in there? Like, oh, yes, we're going to redact things out of national security interests. Like, wait, what? This is a matter of national security? What foreign leaders, what foreigners are named, in these documents where you have the ability to redact them? Like, yeah, he's either dumb, didn't read his own pushed Transparency Act, or he and every Democrat understand full well, and Pam Bondi, and this is what I really think is going on. They understand full well that nobody can be touched. And this is all a smokescreen and political theater. And they think that you're stupid enough to buy into this. That, oh, the DOJ, they could have investigated these people, but they're not. No, it's so much darker than that. Like, our own DOJ has been directed not to touch anything. And this happened in 2010, around 2010 is when the CIA and the NSA said, nope, like, we're not even going to confirm nor deny the existence of these documents. And we're citing national security laws. And like, we are so far from getting these people arrested. It's not even funny. Okay. Our own bureaucracies, these 3-letter agencies are destroying America. And this Epstein saga is really different from other scandals. And here's why. Because it hits a nerve. It involves power, wealth, intelligence connections, international elite, children. And when these documents are heavily redacted at the direction of the NSA, CIA, okay, it feeds into this suspicion. It's not the DOJ's fault. The DOJ can't do a damn thing. Okay. Our own intelligence communities have handcuffed our our FBI and our police, our law enforcement. They can't even go after the bad guys because our bureaucracies told them not to 10 years ago. 15, this was in 2010. So 16 years ago. Right? 16 years ago, our intelligence agency said, no, we're not going to give you anything that would help you in your investigation. We can't even really confirm or deny that these documents exist, and we're sealing them up. So yeah, deal with it. And here we are 16 years later, the FBI can't do their job because of what happened in 2010. So this is different. It feeds into this suspicion, and you've got a semi-transparent administration here now, and they've released these millions of pages, and now it even feeds into our suspicions further because we know all the dirty details, but we don't know who. And now you've really messed up because of the Transparency Act. Now people want blood. So the redactions legally justified. DOJ didn't do anything wrong here. They can't go after these people. And even if these are, legitimate national security reasons, which I'll get to here in a second, optics matter. Trust matters. Pam Bondi should have had, hey, X, Y, Z, and I just don't know why they won't come out and say, hey, we can't do anything because of national security reasons. Hey, we can't do anything because the NSA, well, then our direction would be turned to them. And then I think that Donald Trump would have to answer for that. But then I think he'd have to say my hands are tied. And I think that they're avoiding that. And that sucks because trust matters. Optics matter. And right now, trust is very thin. You've exposed all of this through the 3 million pages of what they were doing, but you didn't tell us who. And then you won't tell us why you can't tell us who. So Pam Bondi, she never said this because it's been debunked now by Snopes. It was circulating online that Pam Bondi had said this, and I had to do some digging. She never did. But she should have said this, quote, if we prosecute everyone in the Epstein files, the whole system collapses. And I've been saying this for years. That is the truth. Okay. And that is why the NSA and the CIA sealed all of this up. Now, part of me says, hell yeah, let the system collapse and justice needs to be served. Another part of me, a very real, if I get real with myself, and I think if the American people get real with themselves, we are not prepared for that. The American people watch the Super Bowl and clap their hands whenever Netflix comes out with a new premiere or new show. We clap our hands like seals. Okay. And we all tune into the Super Bowl and we're distracted and love the distractions that these Hollywood elites provide, even though these are the people we'd want to see bring to justice. Okay. And this is why I say become a localist. If this system does collapse, and if anybody's going to do it, I think it would be Donald Trump. I think that he understands the national security reasons might be legitimate here. If you have banking CEOs being taken out in cuffs, if you have foreign prime ministers being taken out in cuffs, there will be an uprising. And nobody's going to trust any institution. Nobody's going to trust their banks. There's going to be a run on the banks. This would be a complete collapse, global economic collapse. If you start cuffing the people who are named, maybe, because they won't even tell us if such documents exist. If you start cuffing the people that are named on this client list that has been sealed since 2010 for 16 years, at least, they probably even prior to that. I just know that when Epstein's attorneys asked for it, they wouldn't give it to them in 2010. So who knows how long they've been sitting on these names. I think it stretches back even further, probably to the Bush administration, where maybe those intelligence communities sealed this up. But I just know, hey, when they were asked about, they were like, hey, we can't confirm nor deny that those exist. So become a localist. That's why I say become a localist, because I'm telling you, if the system collapses, it's not going to matter if you're right or left. It's not going to matter who you voted for. All that's going to matter is, do you have Jesus? And do you know how to function in a society? Right? You definitely don't want communists on your county board. You don't want communist socialists on your city council. And I don't know about you, but I've followed local government for quite some time. And if I could sum it all up, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Local government does not function. The people that are currently in those positions don't know what the heck they're talking about, and they don't know how they wouldn't know how to survive if the system just collapsed overnight. Okay, and that's why you need to get elected to your city councils. Right now in the city of Bloomington, you've got the city manager begging residents to conserve water, because these hacks for the last 20 years, everybody on those councils, on the city council in Bloomington for the last 20 years, didn't say, hey, lake source water, not really reliable, sort of a dinosaur method of getting water to people. Okay. There's the Muhammad Aquifer. We could drill and get some wells going. Why not switch from lake sourced water to something that's more efficient? And they haven't done that for 20 years. They didn't replace the sewer system, the consolidated sewer system, for decades. Okay. And then everybody's homes are getting full of crap, quite literally, after we have a flood and rain, because consolidated sewer systems are outdated as well and aren't as effective in getting our sewage out and keeping it out of our houses. Okay. Consolidated sewer systems are a dinosaur as well. They didn't touch any of our basic infrastructure. No, instead, the city of Bloomington says things like, let's invest millions into a pool. Let's invest $25 million into an effing library that nobody goes to anymore, because guess what? We've got cell phones, right? When the system collapses, are you going to be going to the library and reading books? Are you going to be swimming at the O'Neill Park pool? No. You're going to want a freaking sewer system that works. You're going to want water coming into your house. Okay. It's a pretty clear indicator that these people don't know what the heck they're talking about at a local level. So if the system collapses, get ready. These buffoons are going to be the ones you're relying on. So I don't think that we're ready for a system collapse. You might hear, people on the right and say, screw it, let the system collapse, release the names, get Donald Trump to get Tulsi Gabbard to unseal these documents, get the CIA, the NSA to unseal these documents. You might say that now, and I'd love to see justice. There's nothing more I would like to see than Les Wexner, Prince Andrew, all of these pedophile leads come down. There's nothing more I would love. But I don't think that we're ready to survive in a system collapse scenario. Okay, so here's the reality, folks. There were legal constraints preventing the release of the names. Okay, through the Transparency Act. The Transparency Act protected the DOJ when they released these files from releasing anybody's names who were implicated as a co-conspirator or is working with Jeffrey Epstein to traffic humans, whom he trafficked the humans to. These were all sealed up, and they were legally able to seal it up because of the provision number 5, the number 5 provision within the Transparency Act that allows them to redact. Okay, now, did Pam Bondi screw up? Yes, because she didn't redact the names of the victims, and some of the names of the victims came out. That's a number 1 provision, was victim privacy. So they didn't prioritize that, but you damn well sure they prioritized the national security thing. Okay. And I get it. We're all frustrated. But what she has to do is come out and say, hey, we had to redact this because our hands are tied. The intelligence communities have sealed, certain things, or may have sealed certain things, or may not have sealed certain things. And, because of national security, and cite the statute, detailed these sealed orders and detailed what I'm talking about, say, hey, this is as much as we can give you. And I'm appreciative of that, because at least now under the Trump administration, we know what happened. Okay. And we're not crazy for saying that elite pedophiles, are cannibalistic and performing satanic rituals and praising Baal, the pagan deity, right? At least we're not crazy. And we know that we're right. We just don't know who exactly, and we're never going to get the arrest because the DOJ has been handcuffed by our intelligence communities. So like these 3-letter agencies, the CIA, NSA, our own law enforcement can't do anything. And that's how messed up these bureaucracies are. Now I want to get to Jay Appel, Representative Jay Appel. She asked about these Epstein survivors in the back. Okay. She asked survivors at the DOJ oversight hearing, which was just political theater, by the way, because the DOJ can't do anything. Okay. And I think all of these people know that. The Democrats, the Republicans, they all know that the DOJ can't do a damn thing. But this is all smokescreen. So everybody gets in front of each other and starts yelling and pointing fingers, and they think you're stupid enough to buy into this. That the DOJ can do something, and we'll just continue to be at each other's throats. People will justify or come to the defense of the DOJ. And that's sort of what I'm doing, but I'm just telling you the reality. I'm not really coming to the defense of the DOJ. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation, that our intelligence agencies are way too strong, and they're the ones you got to start looking at. And this happened years ago. So they were asked, these victims, to raise their hand if the Trump DOJ has not met with them. Okay. And there's these two sides, DOJ bad, DOJ good. And then there's me, you over here. Why are we talking about the freaking DOJ? Like, they're not going to do anything. They can't arrest anybody. And like, we're over here and we're like laughing at this political theater. There's 3 types of people. You're either laughing at this political theater like me, or you're at each other's throats. DOJ bad, Trump bad, or Trump DOJ. They're the best. They released everything. And they're the most transparent administration, which, I mean, I guess you could make an argument that, hey, at least we got something. But like, the real conversation I want to have is over here, with the NSA and the CIA and who did that and why, and what are the national security reasons. And, I want to have that conversation. But anyway, every single victim raised their hands. Let's take a look. Here we go. I think we got it here.
Survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General
Twice.
Bondi,
No, can I finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a
Attorney General,
specific question
Attorney General
that
can
I would
respond to your
like
question.
you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions, the witness gets to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she
It
doesn't
is
like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she ask
question.
Merrick Garland this?
I am
Twice
reclaiming
when he
my
sat in
time,
chair.
and when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the
my
gentlelady's
time.
reclaimed
I'm
her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll
this.
direct it to
What a
you.
massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a
Mr.
question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not going to get
interrupted.
in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing theatrics.
and let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final
Thank you.
17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only
Regular
to
order.
then say that there was no list. Your deputy, Todd Blanche, met alone with Ghislaine Maxwell and transferred her to a minimum security prison. And now you continue the cover-up. And I wish that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
apologize.
Chair now recognizes.
Oh, so annoying. Gosh, I mean, these are like 5-year-olds. You know what I mean? It's like such political theater. Now, like I said, I want to have this conversation over here where we talk about the NSA, the CIA, where they sealed these up, the client list. Okay, the DOJ, they have been directed, not to investigate, not to prosecute. They've closed all of their investigations. At this point, in order to reopen an investigation, they would need additional evidence. Okay, now these victims that all raise their hand, in my thumbnail, you'll see the picture. They all raise their hands. I doubt that these victims have even requested a meeting with Pam Bondi. Perhaps they have. But would they be willing to, because the only way that the DOJ can do anything at this point would be new evidence. Okay, that would prompt Pam Bondi to reopen the investigation and go after these third parties, because back in July of 2025, they closed the investigation. They dismissed charges against Jeffrey Epstein in 2019 when he died in his cell, committed suicide in his cell. Okay. So yeah, I'm done with the Epstein files. 5 years from now, we will still know nothing. Exactly. Complete smokescreen. They know Pam Bondi can't do anything. That's why this is all political theater. They know that they can't do anything. They know their names will never be dropped. That's why they passed the Transparency Act. This is just a way for them to gain political points with their bases and get us all fighting with each other. Shame on the DOJ and Donald Trump, blah, TDS. Or, hey, actually the DOJ is actually awesome. And they released all of these files. You wouldn't even know anything without this release, which to an extent I can sort of agree with. But like, it was all smoke. Like, did the people actually want to know what was going on? I mean, I guess kind of, but we already kind of knew, right? We knew that they, like, you were called a conspiracy theorist, but we all knew that they were elite pedophiles and they were raping children. And the cannibalism, like, we already kind of knew that. Pizzagate, like, we already knew what was going on. We could only imagine. What we care about is the justice part. Okay. And they know that the Transparency Act wasn't going to serve justice. The justice wouldn't be served by passing that. They knew, because all of the investigations were closed prior to the Transparency Act even being passed. Yeah, once you close an investigation, it's closed. You need new evidence. So yeah, it's just political theater. And I mean, Pam Bondi does have a point. Merrick Garland, and prior administrations, prior attorney generals, they've ignored, survivors. The Trump administration did at least give us a taste into how deep this actually goes with this dump, the 3 million pages. It was just dirty details that you and I probably didn't even really want to know. But we kind of knew, right? Already. That's what happened here with the Transparency Act. Pam Bondi, she did not look at the victims. What she should have done was look at the victims and say, I'm sorry, I can meet with you, and hopefully you have additional evidence so that way I can reopen an investigation, or open an investigation, a new investigation, or reopen an investigation. I hope that you can provide me new evidence. That's what she should have said, right? And I'm sorry for what you've gone through, and I will meet with you. Right. But Pam Bondi, she just wanted to act like 5-year-old, and really the representative, J-Pal, or whatever her name was, questioning Pam Bondi. She was acting like a 5-year-old, because J-Pal knows just as much as Pam Bondi that she can't do a damn thing for those victims because investigations have been closed. Okay. And even if they wanted to go prosecute these individuals prior to the closing, they closed the investigations because the NSA, the CIA, have handcuffed the DOJ and the FBI into not opening up investigations and prosecuting these people. And that's why they closed them, because the intelligence community said, you can't do it. Okay. And this happened, years ago, at least 16 years ago, if not more. I just know of the 2010 case where, we kind of got a sliver of these documents being sealed at the CIA, by the CIA, NSA, when Epstein's attorneys asked for it. So Pam Bondi botched it. She botched it. Come prepared and just be honest. Talk about the things I'm talking about, right? Because we all know that there's never going to be arrests. We know that 5 years from now, we will still know nothing. There will be no arrest, no justice. Just talk about how the intelligence communities from 20 years ago have handcuffed our law enforcement. Okay. And just talk about that. And she won't. The reason why she won't is because then all of our fangs and claws are going to be pointed towards the National Director of Intelligence, which would be Tulsi Gabbard, and the sitting intelligence community, the sitting NSA director, CIA director. We'd all look over there, and they don't want that, because then they'd have to answer, and Donald Trump would have to direct them to unseal it, if that's even possible. Like I said, I don't even know if that's possible constitutionally, because once you get into national security reasons, prior administrations, things get a little fuzzy, because if you do it under the name of national security in this country, or in the name of national security interest, or in the interest of national security, you can't touch it with the 10-foot pole. Right. And, if prior administrations did this and sealed this up, Donald Trump gets in there and he's like, well, shoot, I can't do anything. Or maybe the national security reasons that are cited are legitimate. And Donald Trump understands that, and that there'd be system collapse if we unsealed that. So, yeah, that's why Pam Bondi, it's all smokescreen, and they all know this. That's what pisses me off, is that the Dems know it, the Republicans know it, Pam Bondi probably knows it. They're just all putting on a show, and they're hoping that we continue to fight amongst ourselves over this issue, because it distracts from our attention being directed towards the right group of people. Anyway, so Pam Bondi didn't look at the victims. She should have said, I'll meet with you. Hopefully you have new evidence, being that these cases have been closed since 2025, July of 2025. And even prior to that, we dismissed charges against Jeffrey Epstein when he died in 2019. I'll be willing to sit down and talk with you. Hopefully you can provide me new evidence so I can reopen the investigation. She should have just said that, right? Instead, she made us look bad. We're going to lose the midterms over this Epstein thing. And it's very annoying because I wish they were just frickin' honest with people. Anyway, here's her talking about the stock market. This was also another botched answer from Bondi. Jamie Raskin, she was talking with Jamie Raskin and then brought up stock trading when we're talking about child trafficking. We're talking about pedophilia. Okay. You don't want to talk about the stock market when we're talking about these things. Take a listen to this. Here we go.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now.
This was a hearing about child trafficking, pedophilia, Jeffrey Epstein. This is not like your normal scandal. Okay, people are very suspicious. This deals with elite pedophiles. This deals with children. Touchy issue. You don't want to do the whataboutisms here. Okay. And from the beginning, I wanted Matt Gaetz. You could go look at the archives here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, by the way. This is Conservative Cat. I've said it from the beginning. I did not want Pam Bondi. I knew she was unintelligent. And I knew that, Jeffrey Epstein, I think it was in her state. She, I believe even at a state level, didn't even go after Jeffrey Epstein. Like, this all happened while she was Attorney General in Florida. Okay. So she was an establishment gal. And, she was asked about why she didn't prosecute anybody. And she wasn't honest. Like I said, the DOJ can't prosecute anybody because of the national security issues. But when she was asked about this, she didn't provide a decent answer. Rather, she deflected and started talking about the stock market. Okay, like, what the hell? Like, that is not the smart way to go about this, lady. Okay, the stock market, how do you go from raping children, child trafficking, Jeffrey Epstein, to talking about the stock market? Okay, and I can appreciate the jab on Jamie Raskin and the insider trading, but this lady, she doesn't know how to answer these questions. Come up with something. I mean, if not the truth, come up with something better than deflection. And Merrick Garland, right? Come up with something better. You're making us look like idiots. Okay. If you can't talk about how the NSA and the CIA sealed up things and the DOJ hands are tied because of things that prior administrations have done, if you can't talk about that because you don't want the public to turn on our current national intelligence people like Tulsa Gabbard and get them to unseal these court documents, if you can't talk about it, okay, come up with something good. She needs to be ran out of Washington. I think that Pam Bondi is an idiot. Come up with something. There's got to be something you could say. So she was asked directly why she personally shut down a child trafficking investigation into former Prince Andrew while being shown direct evidence of his crimes. So we're going to get to this. This is a clip. And her response was, well, Merrick Garland, and you didn't ask Merrick Garland these questions. Take a listen. Here we go.
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I've been claiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them.
You are in charge. You have the power. No, she doesn't. Just like the people prior to her didn't. Merrick Garland, all of that. Like I said, when you've got these intelligence communities telling you and really hogtying you and saying, "Hey, no, you can't be law enforcement," then you aren't in charge. Okay, so somebody much higher than Pam Bondi is in charge. Okay, and I didn't think this was possible, but Pam Bondi, she stumbled, she deflected. It kind of gives me Kamala Harris vibes. Am I right? I don't know. I feel like she's like a full-blown DEI hire. And maybe she can't talk about the things that I'm talking about. Okay, but come up with something good. When you say like Merrick Garland, that's a clear deflection. Come up with something good. This whataboutism here is just very annoying. Now, Pam closed this case, like he said, in 2025, July of 2025. Those are the facts. That's what we're dealing with now. Okay. Now, maybe she didn't have enough evidence against former Prince Andrew. I think that those two pictures are pretty damning. Looks like a child on the ground, and he's standing or kneeling over this child's body. But maybe there was, testimony sealed by the CIA, Andrew's testimony sealed by the CIA. And in exchange, there were no charges brought against him. Hey, we're going to seal up this testimony. We're going to seal up what Andrew knows. And we're not going to go after him. But this is all sealed up by the CIA, and we can't go after him as far as an investigation goes or a prosecution goes. The DOJ isn't allowed to, right? You guys can't use the documents that we've obtained via the CIA and the NSA. You guys can't use this to bring charges against him, DOJ. In fact, we're not even going to tell you if we have those documents or not. Now, they had this. All of these, Merrick Garland, Bill Barr is what he talked about. They all had this prior to Pam Bondi even getting there, right? They had those pictures. And those DOJ's attorney generals, they did not go after Prince Andrew. Why? And that's kind of her point of why she brought that up. She goes, well, you didn't ask Merrick Garland these questions. Well, you didn't ask everybody else these questions. And here's why they didn't ask those questions. because everybody knows the answer. The DOJ can't do jack. Okay. They can't open an investigation because they're told specifically not to. And there's evidence that's been, not given to them and sealed from them. And at the direction of our national intelligence communities, they can't do a damn thing. Okay. And, we can't get our hands on what the CIA, NSA might have their hands on, even if such testimony exists or court documents exist. Say Prince Andrew gave his testimony, maybe confessed even to the crimes, right? That he committed. That's very possible, but we can't get our hands on it. We don't even know if that exists or not. So either way, it's closed. It was closed in 2025. At this point, in order to prosecute former Prince Andrew or open an investigation into former Prince Andrew, you would need new evidence because the case is closed. Okay, it was closed. That's where we're at now. Okay, so even if she had let's say the CIA, NSA, they unseal it all, right? And she can go after Prince Andrew. Maybe what's unsealed, she can't go after Prince Andrew or prosecute Prince Andrew because, say he gave testimony in exchange for no prosecution, or say he gave, or was even charged. I mean, heck, these people might have been shadow prosecuted, and that might be sealed. We don't know. So, yeah, I mean, it's just that she had poor answers, and we really need somebody in there who can at least, come up with something. If you can't tell the truth, come up with something, and don't make us look bad. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We need to shift gears here. I do want to talk about a few other things this morning. Where's Joe Biden? Not a peep since Trump took office. Great point. The files only became a main topic when Trump was in office. Didn't Obama get the files first? Exactly. Under the Obama administration, this is when we first knew, at least I can tell, that the CIA, NSA covered things up, or were as transparent as they could have been, and they sealed some things due to national security reasons. So that was all done under the Obama administration, 2010 to 2014. This is how long that the Epstein attorneys had requested those documents, and then the stonewalling from the NSA, CIA took place under Barack Obama. So you're exactly right. And who knows? It was probably even sealed up prior to that. Maybe even the Bush administration, maybe even prior to that. They had the names of these co-conspirators, the names of these clients of Jeffrey Epstein, who he trafficked the humans to, who he trafficked the humans with, who lined up the girls for him, Les Wexner, the Victoria's Secret models. All that's sort of sealed up. I like this. Blanket was given to all co-conspirators per Epstein sweetheart deal. Yeah, I mean, that's possible. What we don't know is this could have all been done. Prosecutions could have already happened in exchange for their testimonies. Hey, we're not gonna imprison you or anything like that. And don't worry, we're going to seal all this up. Nobody will ever know that we convicted you of a crime, technically. I've seen that, but we really won't know. And I don't think we ever will. So, yeah, I'm just so tired of, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty tired of it. It's yeah, I'd love to see people brought to justice, but at the same time, at what expense? Will there be a system collapse if these people are ever brought to justice and serve prison time? true prison time. And can they? Because you can't prosecute somebody twice. If they've already been prosecuted, in this fake, closed, sealed up trial, and they just aren't serving time in prison and they've been convicted of crimes. If they've already been prosecuted, you can't prosecute them again, right, for the same crimes. So, yeah, even if it's all unsealed, that would just wind up, because you can't prosecute them again and resentence them, and they won't be sitting in jail. What all that will do is cause the public to distrust our institutions, the banking system, CEOs, or the foreign prime ministers, cause an uprising, and then the entire system collapses, and then there's global economic collapse, and we all die from starvation. Okay, ultimately. So, yeah, that's another scenario that could happen. I wish people knew this stuff, and we would stop with the kangaroo hearings in the political theater, because none of it makes any sense to me. Like, you're grilling the DOJ to do what exactly? Because they can't do anything. You know that. Pam Bondi knows that. I know that. We're just going after each other's throats here. DOJ, Trump bad, blah. And then, no, DOJ actually awesome and did everything that they could. No, the truth is, isn't that funny? The truth is actually somewhere kind of in the middle, where the truth is the DOJ can't really do anything. And the truth is a little bit more complicated, that, hey, the DOJ can't do anything because the NSA CIA says you can't. And the NSA CIA, they say you can't. And maybe the reason why you can't is actually a good reason. Maybe it's not a good reason. But yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Evanston, Illinois. Black residents in Evanston, Illinois. How many of them do you think are slaves or were slaves? Right now, Black residents in Evanston, Illinois, how many of them were slaves? The answer is 0. Close to 0. So I don't know why 44 Black residents in Evanston, Illinois were given $25,000 each in the form of reparations. So the city probably will never be able to answer that question. Hey, if none of these 44 residents who received the $25,000 checks, if none of them were actually slaves, why did we give them money exactly? Okay. But the city won't ask or answer those questions. So Evanston has decided that it wants to outwoke every city in America, Evanston, Illinois, and they issued $25,000 to 44 residents in the form of reparations. Okay. So these Black residents are descendants of Black residents who lived in Evanston between 1919 and 1969. So it's unclear why white residents, who may also be descendants of Black residents, weren't afforded such benefits. Okay, because that's possible, right? After 1919 to 1969, it's possible that those Black residents actually have white descendants in their lineage. But the white people don't get the $25,000 checks. It's just the Black people, right? So the white residents weren't afforded such benefits, $25,000. Still, one can assume it's because they don't have the politically correct skin color to receive such funds. Okay, so very, very likely from 1919 to 1969, Black Evanston residents have white descendants in their lineage. Okay, very possible. According to the New York Post, you have this story. Evanston was the first city in the nation to pass a reparations plan pledging $10 million over a decade to Black residents. The payments are intended to cover housing expenses. Evanston official Cynthia Vargas told the Chicago Tribune that, hey, these payments are supposed to be for housing. According to a city memo, the fund has received $276,000 over that, $276,000. from the Evanston real estate transfer tax. So the transfer tax is like if you sell your home, you pay a tax on it. Okay, so that's what a real estate transfer tax is. The revenue generated from that is going into this fund to give to Black residents. The committee, city committee, has discussed taxing Delta 8 THC in order to sustain the funding in the future. This reparations fund. So they've gathered $200,000. And they've doled it out to the 44 Black residents in order to sustain the fund in the future. They're looking at taxing Delta 8 THC, which is fascinating because there's a federal push to ban that right now. And at a state level, Delta 8 THC is being looked at, right? So at a federal level, I mean, we're not really even complying with what happened at a federal level. I think they straight up banned hemp products like Delta 8, which I think is just silly. Well, I mean, I don't. I think that we should ban marijuana as well. Marijuana, cannabis, Delta 8, like these should be considered illegal, illicit drugs. Both of them. But I think it's fascinating that you have, these hemp products, Delta 8, derived, and they're kind of skirting the regulations, the cannabis regulations, since legalizing it. It's not even legal at a federal level. So glad the federal government banned Delta 8 as well. But you've got states that have legalized pot, and since they've legalized it, they've taxed it to hell, and they've regulated it to hell. And now you have like these entrepreneur types that, created a synthetic THC, and they're trying to get around the regulation, which is what happens when you regulate something or legalize something. People try to skirt the laws, which tells me, hey, it was a bad idea to try to legalize a drug that has known damaging effects on humans, addictive effects on human beings. Marijuana, cannabis never should be legalized at a state level. And, it actually runs afoul to federal government, which has deemed it as an illegal illicit substance. So anyway, they want to tax Delta 8. I went on a little tangent there, but they want to tax Delta 8 to keep the reparations fund alive. Okay, the funds didn't receive any philanthropic donations. So they opened up this fund thinking that people from the public were going to take the fruits of their labor and donate it to people who, don't deserve it, because, hey, we're going to donate it to people who have Black skin color, never endured slavery, never had to deal with slavery. But we're going to throw the fruits of our labor at people solely based on their skin color. It turns out nobody wanted to do that because the fund has not received any philanthropic donations. And the fact that the city believes that residents would willingly donate to something like this proves how it have touched these people actually are. Not even Black residents are going to donate to this because, they see the program probably just as much as white people as illogical, reprehensible, and probably illegal. Taking taxpayer funds from everybody and doling them out to a very specific group of people, 44 residents, Black residents, who are descendants of Black residents. So they're not even really descendants of slaves necessarily. From 1919 to 1969, there's definitely white people who are descendants of Black residents from 1919 to 1969 in Evanston, but they weren't given the money because they don't have the politically. So quite literally, this is taking taxpayer money and giving it to people solely based on their skin color. Pretty sure that's illegal. Last time I checked, there's something called equality under the law. I would assume that giving people checks based on their race is discriminatory and not lawful. But like I said, I'm not a legal expert, so take that with a grain of salt. But Alderman Chrissy Harris, this is according to the New York Post, recognized the tax would not significantly increase revenue, the Delta 8, though it would help keep the number moving forward in the reparations process. Yeah, especially if Delta 8 is like banned, potentially. They're going to try to take Delta 8 THC tax money, but like it could potentially be banned. I mean, it's already banned like at a federal level. And people at the state level, like at least the cannabis special interest groups, they don't like Delta 8 because they're competitors, right? And it's not regulated, it's not taxed nearly as much. But they're going to do like a city tax on it. And they said, oh, it's not going to increase a ton of revenue. Yeah, because it's probably not going to exist in a couple of years. I'm sure the state of Illinois is going to bend the knee to these cannabis special interest groups and listen to them and ban their competitor, but I don't know. She says, quote, it's really important for people to understand we pay as we have money. Okay, it's not that we're withholding from paying everyone. She said this, according to the Daily Northwestern. It's just we have to accumulate the funds to make sure we can pay. Okay. So they claim they're paying everybody, but they're not actually paying everybody because they paid $25,000 per or like for 44 residents. Okay, so it'd be a little bit different. I would honestly like not be totally against this if you were paying all Black residents. But you're only paying Black residents who are descendants of Black residents from 1919 to 1969. And that's just a fraction of the population, the Black population, okay? So what they really mean here is they're not paying everyone. They're just paying a fraction of the population at the expense of the majority. Okay, so many white people in the city could benefit from a large check. Maybe white people who were descendants of the Black residents from 1919 to 1969 could benefit from this check, but they could care less. The city could care less. They are all in to apologize for things that nobody was alive for. No one was alive today. Nobody who's alive today did. They're apologizing for that. No one experienced slavery who's alive today. No one partook in slavery or enslaved people who's alive today. So this is all deeply deranged. Reparations, the idea of it is just deeply deranged, and the left thinks it's compassionate, but I think that it's morally, logically stupid, and it's just the antithesis of compassion. It's actually not very compassionate at all and discriminatory and probably illegal. Unclear how the program is continuing. Okay, and if the program will continue if, federal authorities deem it racist, unconstitutional, against the Civil Rights Act, discriminatory. But as of today, they're getting away with it in Evanston, Illinois. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think it has a place here in America. It's a slap in the face to hardworking men and women who are struggling to make ends meet, white, Black. This is just a slap in the face. So smash that like button, share this out with your friends, subscribe to the channel. I so do appreciate you being here. So tomorrow we will be back Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to tune in and hit the like button, share it out with your friends. Appreciate you being here. And have a great day.